Welcome to the Pinnacle Wellness Podcast. Here today with our first guest, Kyle Santos. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Dude, absolutely. This has been a long time coming. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, finally flew out here, so.
Yeah, man. Yeah, having a great week at the lock-in. Got some agents out here making first sales.
But yeah, a lot of people hitting their record weeks too. So it was a much needed lock-in because it's like, hey, sometimes you feel like you already know what's going on for these agents, but when they come here, there's something about the energy that Pinnacle lock-ins just bring out of them, you know?
I think just traveling too, to be like, hey, I'm here to work. I'm not focused on anything else except making money.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been great for our team.
Yeah. So, dude, Kyle, you have kind of a storied past in insurance, dude. You've kind of been a little all over.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're at this place now where it's like the sky is the limit. You're really growing. But I really want people to kind of know your background, where you came from, and kind of how this evolution has happened.
Yeah, I started off at a captive agency, mainly selling health insurance. And I actually did extremely well because a lot of people there fall off. I would say like 99%. And I was one of the few 1% that made it past that first year. Mm-hmm. But I remember one day I had a health insurance client. I just signed up and he was like, hey, we also want life insurance. So I started reaching out to old friends in college that I saw on Instagram was selling life insurance. Mm-hmm. Not going to mention any names. I gave that lead to a friend of mine who was in another uncaptive agency. Mm-hmm. And 2 weeks later, she zelled me over $2,000. And I was like, well, granted, in that health sale, I made maybe like $1,500 at most. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, I was like, hey, your referral bonus to me was bigger than my whole commission for the health. Mm-hmm. How much did you make? She was like, oh, I made like a little over 12 grand. I was like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And this was like maybe 8 months into selling health insurance. Mm-hmm. So that was my first taste of life insurance. I wasn't even thinking uncaptive yet. I was just like, maybe I want to be able to sell life insurance too.
Absolutely.
Right. But problems happen in the captive world. They were telling me I'm a business owner and I was putting in work and spending money like I was a business owner. But then I found out none of it was mine. I've been seeing agency owners. They would piss off the wrong person at the top. They would just strip away all their downlines like they never existed.
Yikes.
And I was like, okay, this is not right. And the turning point for me actually was I sold a policy to a family friend of mine, got into an accident. The policy was just bad. My production started going down because I didn't believe in the only one product I can sell. Right. So I was like, hey, let me hit up that person that I've been sending these life insurance referrals to and see if I could join their team and become uncaptive because I've always wanted to. Now's the right time to do it. I left an $80K a year bonus to go uncaptive. Took a big risk there at the time. And, at that point, that was 2024, started selling only life insurance. I would sell health insurance here and there, but I fell in love with those advanced checks that life insurance was giving, and eventually found my way into Pinnacle through a lot of introductions. I was unhappy in that agency and got introduced to Mindy and Joe, actually. And that's how we ended up at Pinnacle. And I really found a home here because now I didn't have to choose between health insurance sales or life insurance or even annuities. We do all of it, which was my dream outcome for becoming an insurance agent. I mean, my license is health, life, and annuities. Why not sell all of it? Right. So that's how I ended up here. And I don't know how deep you want me to go, but.
Well, for people, I want to give people some context because I think some people, maybe they're captive agents watching this, maybe they're brokers. Explain what captive looks like as far as like you hit some of the highlights. You had one product.
Yep.
You're like, this can be taken away from me. I'm told I'm a business owner. But So explain the difference, what captive is and what broker is so people get a good grasp of that.
Absolutely. So a captive agency is a sales force for a specific carrier, just one carrier. And the contract you sign with that agency is you cannot contract with any other carriers. So if you are, I'm just going to name a random name, let's say Mutual of Omaha, you applied for them, you can only sell Mutual of Omaha policies, right? But when you're in a captive situation, what most people don't realize is you're not just limited in the products you have access to. you also don't own your book of business. And they don't tell you this, especially because they target new agents, people that are just newly licensed. I was one of those. And what happens is they show you commission checks because, granted, I was making 50 to 60K a year as a personal trainer prior. So when I saw you can make one sale and make $800 commission, to me that was like, whoa.
You're like, how many sales can I make in a day? How many can I make in a week?
This is way better than being a personal trainer. So for me, I didn't think about ownership. I didn't think about building an agency. I didn't realize there was so much more to this industry than just a transactional sale and a quick commission check, right? So I found out as I was there for 2 years, my first 2 years in insurance, I was seeing leaders, agency owners, they would piss off the wrong person. And, you know, what would happen is, let's say they recruited 20 people. They've been training these 20 people, making overrides from them, and rightfully so. They trained them,
right?
Pissed off the wrong person. Hey, you are no longer a leader. Your 20 agents, they're moving to someone else's team.
Yikes.
That was it, and you can't do anything about it because it was never yours in the first place. Same thing with the policies. Another thing, comparing commission schedules from the captive to the uncaptive world, the renewals. You might have decent, not the best, just decent upfront first year commission. For example, here I believe a certain carrier would start you off at 22% commission. And over there, I remember it was 16%. I was happy with 16. Yeah, because I didn't know 22 existed. And these are, by the way, the lowest, comparing the lowest level commission, right? And that's ridiculous because the highest commission you can work your way up to was 21% in that company. Wow. And you start off at 22 here.
Yeah.
So now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, those people at the top are making so much money with that spread, right? And when you look at year 2 renewals, year 2 and moving forward, it would drop down to like 1-2% for health insurance. And here, I mean, it starts off at 9 minimum.
Yeah.
So it was night and day. They always said when they recruited me, oh, Kyle, you're in personal training sales. Do you make residual? And I'm like, no, I got to train them and then that's it. And they're like, oh, here you make residual. But they don't tell you the residual is pennies.
Right.
So I'm happy to be here in Pinnacle, a true uncaptive brokerage that you guys always get more and more carriers for us. Whenever there's a demand, it gets done. And you actually own your book, and the renewals is really, I hope I don't sound lazy, but I've been working for these renewals for years. Like I came here to not have a salary, but it's nice to sit back for a whole month and still make, 5 figures easily because of the work you put in years prior. So I hope I painted a picture of the difference between captive and uncaptive. There are, I want to take a step back for a second. There are positives of a captive agency, in my opinion. I think with God's plan, I was supposed to go through that. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
I believe that because over there, I was more of a worker coming in to the industry. I needed that boot camp style. The agency I came with was very hardcore, 8 to 8, or else we'll kick you out of the team. At least 2 Saturdays per month, bare minimum in the office. But I needed that at the time because I was not the person I am today to be able to handle that type of responsibility. Now, granted, there are great leaders that can instill that into you. For example, like Ryan Koski, right? My upline. I'm sure when someone joins this team, he can somehow inspire them to understand that. But for me, it was so lax because the first time I was uncaptive, there was like no rules. I didn't have to show up to the office. There were no punishment for not showing up in the office. So I think the structure was really good for people that don't have that entrepreneurial mindset. And they're more coming in as an employee, which I was,
Yeah.
No, what are your thoughts on that?
Dude, you're taking me back because I don't think I told you this. I started as a captive agent on the life side.
I didn't know that.
And same thing. I mean, you're taking me back through the whole thing. I had one carrier, so I'd feel real guilty talking to a client, and they were strict too. Like, it's so funny. The carriers we have that will take so many health issues. Dude, I would meet somebody who would have like diabetes and high blood pressure, and that was a denial. And talking to me, maybe I'm the only agent they've talked to. I'm basically telling this person they're uninsurable.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
I felt so guilty. And then when I found, and I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't
Of
even
course.
know there were carriers out there. I just assumed, well, this is how everybody is.
Yep.
Like these guys really can't get insurance. And I didn't know, well, now I'm a broker with 30 carriers and 24 of them would have taken them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
as a
seriously.
client. And then the commission thing too on the life side, I thought, because I only had one frame of reference. A buddy of mine had been in like a salaried auto casualty life place, and he got like a 15% commission
Yeah.
on life. Well, I was at a 50. Though I thought I was at the
Oh, yeah.
highest in the industry. And like you're talking about, we start people at 70.
Yeah.
And so they were people that were selling, they'd been tenured for years, selling at a 50. And they would be at 100% plus commission.
Right. Right.
Like in this opportunity. So, but I would agree with you as well. Like I'm grateful I started there because it made me very appreciative of what I can have today.
But, grateful doesn't mean if we knew what we knew now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's a fact.
Yeah. Grateful because I don't take it for granted. It happened for a reason. But if I knew what I knew now, I would start in the uncaptive world. But there's a catch to it. You have to join the right team.
Right.
There are so many uncaptive brokerages, just like Pinnacle. But like the most important thing that I notice is who are you joining? Which upline are you joining? What's their systems look like? What does their values look like? Because Pinnacle is great. I love Pinnacle. There's a reason I'm here. But I don't know the truth, but I would safe to say there are bad uplines, not necessarily bad people, but bad mentors because they're new to leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And that's with all brokerages.
You're not saying anything that offends me
Exactly.
with a company of thousands of agents.
There just has to be. So you have to be careful with who you choose, and that's who's going to instill that inspiration, the proper training. And I think that's what's necessary for a new agent. Inspiration to actually work, because we're working more than the normal person, and the training, because you actually have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I feel like those are the two most important things. And coming in prepared, knowing it's not an employee type of position. It's an opportunity where you could take your financial destiny into your own hands and make the best out of what you can.
Yeah. Well, I think you said it earlier, and it's that difference between being an employee and a business owner. Everyone, unless this is your first job that you've walked into, has experienced, I go to work and I put in the hours and I get a paycheck equivalent to the work that I did. But I don't own anything. I'm not building towards anything outside. I guess if I'm saving my money in a bank account and retirement account, building that towards something. But with the exception of that, I'm not. I think sometimes people come into this opportunity and the reason they do is they have a vision. Hey, I want to build something that's mine and I'm cool. Like you said, I'll grind 8 to 8. I'll do that 5 days a week. I'll come in on a Saturday. I'll work really hard. But what am I building towards?
Right.
And if you told me if you spent 5 years and then I could have a $10,000 a month residual, I'm like, well, that's what most people make. Way more than most people make just going to a normal job.
Yeah.
And I can have that on top of, and I'm still working and I have that on the back. Like that's incredible.
What's even more incredible is you could do that in way less than 5 years.
Dude, that's
which is
a fact.
crazy.
Yeah, I tried to be conservative, but you're,
Just in case.
but you're, you're right. Yeah. Dude, that's a great segue though into someone maybe looking at this industry and maybe what you just said really connected with them. They're like, man, I want to come in. Like if Pinnacle is the spot for me, how do I identify a good mentor? Like what are some of the big things? I think one of the first things we talk about is just leading with production, right? Like someone I remember myself coming in, I started off selling, I wasn't confused, I need to sell on a high level. And the way I talked to my friends, Ryan, Mindy, Joe, I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you do what I'm doing, like this would be great. And that's a really easy way to pitch it. So I think that's one of the first things, but I'm sure you have more.
I agree to an extent with that because my upline is Ryan and he doesn't produce like he used to anymore. I feel like if at one point they did, that's
100%.
good enough.
100%.
Because I joined Ryan not because he's I joined him when he's no longer hitting President's Club.
Right.
So I didn't join him because he's a crazy producer. I joined him because number one, I think his track record is proven. He's done it already.
Yeah.
But I guess I was also in a different phase of my career in the insurance where I wanted to build, and I knew I wanted to mimic what Ryan has created, right? So I guess for somebody new, I completely agree with you. They should join someone actively producing because you should join someone you want to mimic.
Right.
Right. One thing, tell me what you think about this. A little bit controversial.
Okay.
Right. But I would not join somebody recruiting me when they're flexing their fake Rolex and rented Lamborghinis all over. And I know we have some in Pinnacle. I'm not hating. It's across the whole industry.
Who? Tell us.
Yeah, no. But I don't know. Like when you present yourself as an educator, I don't know, man. What I'm trying to say is if I was a consumer and I saw my insurance agent's social media, I would cancel immediately. I feel like I want follow someone with values that align with you long term.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a Rolex. I mean, I have a Grand Seiko on, I have a decently nice car, but when you're just flaunting it over and over, I find like that's a big red flag. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not always the case. I know great leaders that flex on social media all the time. What are your thoughts on that, though?
I mean, I think
that's advice I give people.
I think you're making a great point because I think – so give a little bit of my background. I didn't come from a wealthy background. I grew up very modestly. I might even say poor. And then I went to Bible college. And I like to joke there, Kyle, there's college kid poor and then there's Bible college kid poor.
Yeah, I didn't go to Bible college, so I don't know.
You don't go there to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're going there for your purpose and what you want to do. And then when I thought about, like I got my degree and I came into financial services. I've been doing sales for a long time because, and what you're saying is speaking to me so heavily, because I didn't come into it because I wanted a Lamborghini or I wanted necessarily a giant house. I did want to make really good money.
Yes.
And I wanted to give and support things that were very important to me. And so to your point, finding somebody who's doing it, who like, hey, I can learn from this person, like you said about Ryan. This is a guy who's written $600,000 in business and life, year after year. So clearly he knows what he's doing. He's trained other people to do it. Shoot, his mom writes $400,000 a year. But this is somebody who also my values align with. Like this is a person like the morals, the integrity, like this means something to me. And I think having those two things together is so powerful. Because even though you own your own business and like Ryan, not that he ever would, but he couldn't hold you back from what you wanted to do, but you want to find somebody that you can pull with.
Yes. They don't realize you choosing your upline is you choosing your business partner.
Right.
Who do you want to build with? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a beautiful way to say it. Talk about, I love just seeing your agents here, people having success, people you've trained. I mean, you got a guy that wrote $400,000 the month before last. Oh, yeah. In health.
He's next in the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So he's coming up here, dude. Talk about what you want the experience to be like for people thinking about this industry, like what it would be like, how they prepare themselves to come in. And I think we can be honest about the good, the bad. I think people aren't confused that you can make very, very good money selling health, life insurance, annuities. But what does that look like? In what ways do they need to prepare themselves financially, schedule?
See, that's a great question because it's very different for every person, but I'm going to talk about the common denominator across all of it. It's a lot of hours. That guy Maliko, I'll name drop him. He did over $400K in issued health and over $20K in issued life. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I saw his bank account.
Wow.
He sent me a screenshot and I was like, whoa. As an upline, he made more money than me last month. And that's what I love about this business. But
how cool is that?
yeah, it's so cool. And can't call it an MLM now, huh?
Yeah, right.
But the common denominator, it's a lot of hours. He puts in a minimum 100 hours a week, and I really see it, But people don't realize if you're making more than 50K a month, that's normal, especially in the beginning of your career. So a lot of hours is number one. Number two is being able to handle a mental roller coaster. Hey, no sales all week. It's okay. You're due. Something I learned from Joe. I was going through a really tough time, and he was doing some calls with the leadership team at Ryan's team. And I had a trip in the Philippines. Just a quick side story here. Last year, I wanted to see my grandparents. It was planned 2 years prior. I haven't seen them in 13 years, over a decade in the Philippines. So spent a whole month there, came back, and my team was producing at an all-time high and came back to an all-time low. And I spent a lot of money in the Philippines, taking everybody out. And I came back and my business was falling apart. And Joe gave me the best advice ever. He was like, Kyle, when things are going bad, every day, bad, he was like, I tell myself I'm due for a good day. A good day is going to happen as long as I keep working. But he was like, but the other side also works. If you're having good day, win. He was like, I keep myself leveled because he was like, oh, dear God, I know I'm due for a bad day. And when he said that with so much, and Joe's tonality is just so powerful. I was like, I was having good month, and this was a character building moment. So being able to handle the roller coaster of emotions. I also learned another thing from Joe. He said, you just build calluses. You got to be able to build those mental calluses. He was like, there was a problem I had 6 years ago. I'd be out on my bed the whole week, just stressed out. And he was like, dude, I had 6 of those level problems just this morning and I'm fine now because he's built so much calluses. So having that mental fortitude is good. And number 3, finances. Now, I always tell people they should have at least like $5,000, but I'll tell you, I started with way less than that and I somehow made it out. I had like $3,000 in my bank account when I joined, insurance in general. I just took a big risk. I don't have a wife. I don't have children, and out of the $3,000, I spent $2,000 on leads, and I was like, whatever happens, happens. They need belief though. I think that's the last part, number 4, true belief that it will work. A lot of people come in, and I was like this guy. I got recruited in 2017, but I quit after 1 week because I didn't believe in it. Everyone's saying, oh, I made 60K, 40K, 20K. And I was like, dude, this is a scam. I went to the office, it's a scam. Didn't believe in it. That same guy that recruited me, I saw his Instagram post 4 years later. This is when I officially joined the insurance world.
Oh, wow.
4 years later, he bought a house in Tampa, Florida. It was $1 million house, 2 Mercedes AMGs. And he was the same guy that recruited me. He was brand new. And I'm like, whoa, his life really changed. And then I had another friend post something on Instagram. He was in that same captive company, and he was also doing really well for himself. He was a workout partner in college. So when I joined that second time, I knew I could do it because I knew it was real at that moment. Because I had friends who I knew wasn't in there. They weren't like gifted anything. It's not like their dad or their big brother gave them a handout for them to succeed. They started from scratch and made a lot, millions, So I knew, I was like, whoa, these guys weren't that smart, I could do it too. So when the second time I joined insurance, that number 4, belief, I knew it was actually real. And at that point, when I know it's real, I'm not that incompetent. If I spend $2,000 of my $3,000, I'm sure I'll make some money. So I think that's really where it went up for me from there.
Yeah.
Dude,
you're it's so funny as you're speaking. So many of our beginning stories connect because I cannot tell you how many people, if I had to guess, I would say at least 6 people that I knew sent me, because I was in direct sales for a decade before I got into insurance, just door to door. And I believed in that. You know, I'd made, decent money, paid my way through college, paid all my bills. And I was like, the whole time I was like, part of it was what I knew of insurance. I had heard of people selling like their family and friends, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
And then I remember leaving the captive, and I'd been there for like 6 months, and then meeting someone in the broker space who had told me that he'd written $700,000 the year previous.
That's crazy.
And he had an office not too far away, about 2 hours. So I called him. I was like, set up a meeting. So I drove to meet him, and he told me that again, and I asked him what he made, and he told me, and I was like, I don't believe. I just told him straight up. I was like, I don't believe you unless you show me. Dude opens up his Chase banking app and lets me scroll through the deposit forms, and I'm seeing 60, 70 grand deposits a month, and I'm like,
it's real.
Maybe you don't know what you don't know. And I'm like, just because I've never made this kind of money doesn't mean that it's not possible. And so that really connects. Now, something that you touched on that I would love to hear you speak more about is, now obviously I didn't come in making that kind of money. It didn't happen in like a month. You didn't come in making that kind of money.
Not at all.
Like, so give an idea of what the roadmap looks like, for someone in their growth, like what they can expect as far as that journey. Because same thing for yourself, for Maliko, you guys aren't brand new. You've been doing this for a few years now. And now, do you have agents come in and make good money right off the bat? Yes. But give a realistic kind of roadmap.
It's interesting, right? The new agents, completely brand new, that make a lot of money very fast, sometimes I get scared because that sets their bar, and life is just going to kick your teeth in the more you go into this industry, because there's so much opportunity. So life will test you. God will test you, right? If you deserve to be here, if you can earn your way through. For me, it was a really rocky start. I made a lot of money my first month because I hit up all my college friends that needed insurance, But then after that, I didn't close a deal for 6 weeks. And the first year, I was better than most. I was actually really good my first year, but it wasn't easy, and I wasn't making a ton of money. I netted maybe like $110K my first year, and that was to me considered really good because that was double my income prior.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the roadmap, how do I say this? There's a massive learning curve in the beginning. Obviously, insurance knowledge, sales skills, right?
Right.
And number 3, the mindset that it takes too, that you're finally building something of your own for the first time for most people. And that first year is figuring out the type of insurance agent you're going to be. I believe that first year is all learning, honestly. Even the second year. I mean, to this day, I'm still learning, but it's slow. It's slower than most people think. And the people that make so much money so fast, I get scared for them because I know, like I said earlier, they're going to get their teeth kicked in. And I keep questioning myself, how are they going to react to it? So quick success might happen here and there. It happened to me. I made like $6,000 in 2 weeks, and to me that's crazy at the time. And after that, I kind of settled, and then I just realized I didn't have the sales skills. I got lucky because of my warm market. I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly, but the first year is not as easy as Instagram might make it seem, and that's why I hate those people flexing the Rolexes and Lamborghinis. They're like, oh, I've been here 3 months, 4 months. Does it happen? Yes, it does. For any other opportunity, that's almost impossible, it seems like, but it is possible, right? Here's the one thing I'll say. I want to, hopefully this makes it make sense. When I'm interviewing a recruit, as you know, I don't mass recruit like a lot of people. It's more slower, as you probably have seen. But there's a question I ask or that I look out for. Mm-hmm. An agent will either ask, how much does your average agent make? Or they're going to ask, how much does your top agents make? And the reason those two questions matter so much to me is because I ask the latter. What are the top guys making? And I notice when somebody asks, what does the average person make? I'm like, you know my answer to them? Average agent goes into debt and quits. Like, average agent loses, like all the time. I hate to say it. But when someone trying to get into sales wants to get into or wants to join our team or IBO insurance brokerage, if they ask you, hey, Kyle, what do the top agents make? You know what they're asking? They're asking what's possible. Because every great entrepreneur in the sales world doesn't care about averages.
Yeah.
Sales is not meant for the average people. This is a ground floor for high performers. So you only want high performers in because average people will always just suffer and waste your time and waste their time. So I share that because when you're joining in, you have to have the mindset of, hey, what is possible? I'm chasing what is possible. I'm not chasing the average. So if you're coming in your first year expecting, hey, hopefully I become average this year. The truth is, there's so many licensed agents across the country. What is it? What's the 92% fail?
Yeah.
That's more than the average.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question with that road of making your way as a good insurance agent. It's not as easy. It's meant for high performers. Most people fail.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to admit that. Hopefully that's okay.
No, dude, that was a beautiful answer to that question. I want to tell a story without naming a name, but one of arguably the most successful agents at Pinnacle, which I recruited within my first year, asked me, people would be shocked to know that this person asked this question, but they were getting ready to buy their first batch of leads. And they were like, Gabe, does anyone ever buy leads and it doesn't work out? And this was a friend of mine, someone I really cared about. And I was like, do you realize what you just asked me? And I knew this person was intelligent and like knew about entrepreneurs and what that looked like. And I asked him, I was like, what percentage of entrepreneurs make it? And he's like, I don't know, like 5%. And I was like, well, you just answered your question.
Yep.
Like, do people come in and try this and fail? Like, absolutely. I was like, if you believe in yourself enough to take a shot, I'm going to give you everything that I possibly can to help you be successful. And we'll see what happens. And now that person is, like I said, arguably one of the most successful people at Pinnacle.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that was a great way to answer that question because, yeah, you're right. It's like if any business, hey, what is the average restaurant, owner make? The average one goes out of business after going into debt for a few years. But yeah, what is possible to people who plug in and who work very hard? And like you said, being grateful for that being instilled to you as a new agent, like, hey, we're working 8 to 8. We're working weekends often. And it's because we're fighting for our lives. We want to win and be successful and not just not go out of business, but really create a beautiful future for ourselves and our families and the people and the things that we care about.
Let's just say you only join an opportunity like insurance sales or any other type of sales that's similar, whether it's real estate or whatever, if you believe in capitalism. Like, the people that work hard gets rewarded. You can't expect coming in here doing the same work, for me, expecting doing the same work I did in personal training and make the same money. There's a reason I only got paid $50, $60K a year because that was the value of my work ethic. And I have new agents that are actually in this office right now. I'm working right now. They came from a 9-to-5, even with big companies like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, things like that. And they took an income hit coming in here. And then I told him, and he's a good friend of mine too. I was like, dude, that just goes to show you're not as good as you thought you were because you only get paid based on how good you are. So we need to work. And then we set up a game plan. And he took that criticism so well. He was like, you're right. He was like, when you are in an opportunity where it's commission-based and it's performance-based, you only get paid what you're worth. And if you took an income drop, it's because, your skill set's not there yet. But the cool thing is you could never change your income in that moment, but you can change your skill set and your mindset to match something that would make 200K a year, for example, if that's a goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I love that. I want to change gears here just for a second because I want to give people who don't know anything about this space. You know, we're talking about income potential and work ethic. We're talking about a lot of principled things. I really want to put things down on the bottom shelf and really explain to people what you do with health and life products. Because it's pretty cool. And that's one of the things, to be honest, outside of the income potential, like coming from a decade of door to door where frankly, I did multiple things. Like I feel like every 2 to 3 years, I was kind of looking for maybe what that better opportunity was. And I sold a lot of things, none of which are bad. I'm not ashamed to say anything. I sold things from cable service to energy to lawn care. You know, my first job was newspapers. But did they change people's lives in like a truly impactful way? No, they didn't. No. And then I saw, it wasn't a client I wrote, but almost 3 weeks into the insurance industry, I saw my first death claim get paid out. In a tragic circumstance, a young man passed away, and the policy paid off his home and replaced income for his young family. And I was like, wow, this is the first time I've ever sold something that is changing people's lives. And so, dude, explain, obviously you're working leads, and obviously get a lot of referrals from those leads. People want to like, hey, talk to my brother, cousin, and stuff. Explain what the average maybe health client, because you know you do multiple things from major medical to fixed indemnity plans. Like, kind of explain what that looks like with clients, and then also on the life side.
No, that's a great question because funny enough, I got into insurance not because I wanted to be a great insurance agent. I wanted to make money. But then the deeper I got into it, I started falling in love with the products because of how it impacts other people's lives. So mainly, as you know, my team is primarily focused on selling health insurance, and we add life insurance on top of it. And there's a reason for that. I'll get to it in a bit. But I love the fact that we actually help people save so much money in their healthcare because, number one, most people that are self-employed or doesn't have employee benefits available to them, they just go to the marketplace because that's what's thrown into commercials, TV commercials, now in this world, YouTube commercials, right? Social media.
Right.
That's all that's pushed out there, not what we do.
Right.
And these ACA plans, if you don't qualify for a government subsidy, you're not considered low income by government standards. You're paying an arm and a leg. I talk to people paying $2,000 to $3,000, $4,000 a month just for healthcare because they don't want to go bankrupt if anything medically wrong happens. So where we come in on the private marketplace to sell them a policy that is giving them rates based on their health instead of their income, they save so much money. Plus, they have way better benefits. I'm not going to get into the details of the policies we sell, but way better.
Yeah.
In a way that they don't have to come out of pocket as much.
Yeah.
They get better benefits. It's fully customizable. If they don't need maternity, we can sell them a plan that doesn't have maternity, save them some more money, right? Because now we're no longer underwriting the general population.
Right.
You're only getting underwritten based on you and your family. That's number one. We save them a lot of money.
Yeah.
But number two, when things actually happen, they're able to be protected financially because I have a financial advisor. My first time ever speaking with him, he said the first thing we're going to set up is protection because Kyle, you have to remember, it doesn't matter if your income is $500K, $5 million, $50 million. You're always one lawsuit away from losing everything, one medical illness away from losing everything, one accident, and you need to make sure you have the right protection. And that's where we talked about health insurance, we talked about life insurance, and that made me feel so good because I'm like, this is such an important part in people's financial portfolio, and we get to be a part of it and protecting them, right? So I've seen families needing surgeries, and the super bill would be like $200,000, and they're coming out of pocket like $2,000. And they would text you like, oh my God, thank you so much for setting us up with this great plan. Right. But now we're doing something really special. I know we spoke about this a few days ago at the training. We're adding life insurance bundled into our health policies. And this does two things. Is this the right time to get into it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I always teach my agents, hey, look, health insurance, I teach my agents and my prospects.
Yeah.
Health insurance is meant to lower your medical liability. You know, it's not meant to stop and pay for all your medical bills. It's just meant to defer a lot of those bills to the insurance companies. You're still going to come out of pocket at some level.
Yeah.
Right. But life insurance does the opposite. It puts money into your pockets. Because just because you got sick doesn't mean your rent or your mortgage stops.
Right.
Doesn't mean you don't need to eat anymore and feed your family, right? And obviously the excess medical bills you still have to pay on top of that, but you can't work because you're trying to recover.
Right.
So the life insurance aspect of it with living benefits will put hundreds of thousands of dollars in their pocket, which will pay for all the excess medical bills.
Yeah.
It will pay for their rent, their mortgage, their car, their insurances, and keep their family afloat while they recover. And now you have this perfect product for protection when it comes to accidents, medical illnesses, or anything like that. And when you put this in place for a family, you go above and beyond what a normal health insurance agent would do. That's how referrals start flowing in.
Yeah.
You know? And referrals only happen if you sell something good, and you are not just selling a good product, but offering great service on top of it. So seeing how people, this is one thing for me, Gabe, that really made me fall in love with this industry, is it's such a good product that we sell that it gave me so much confidence in myself. I can walk up and have a lunch or a dinner meeting with a multi-millionaire that's running a massive company, and I could shake their hand, look at them in the eye, and know for a fact that I have a service and product that would benefit him and his team.
Yeah.
Because when you have that confidence that you have something that you're so confident in, you just walk differently.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I love the products we sell and the service we provide.
Dude, can I share a really cool story with you?
Please.
So I love that illustration of talking about, hey, medical insurance is meant to lessen, and a lot of cases won't pay for everything. Mm-hmm. I just hope people understand that when they get. I think a lot of people, unfortunately,
they expect the other way.
don't understand that in its entirety until something happens, and then they feel like they're not prepared. We have an agent. I'll give him a shout out, Gil, who had a client. He signed up for a life insurance policy last year, and it was they'd been requesting life insurance. He had to meet with them for health. I think they already had it through their company. And just a few months ago, he got a text. This person had been sending out a GoFundMe, and it was because he read it. He's like, wait, what's this? And there was a couple that he met with. The husband had just gotten pancreatic cancer previous, and they were putting a GoFundMe for, one, he wasn't able to work, and then two, not everything was covered by his health insurance he had from his company. Mm-hmm. And so we called him. He's like, hey, when did this happen? And they're talking about it. They're like, hey, did you call? It was Mutual of Omaha. Did you call the carrier and make a claim? Because you're covered for this on your policy. And they're like, no, we didn't. We didn't, weren't thinking about that. And then huge shout out to him. He actually followed up with them a week later, and they're doing through so much treatments, all these things. They still hadn't called. He's like, hey, let's call together. You have to call. Love that. And they called together. They went through a process. I think it was like a week process. Got just a message, hey, you're approved. And 2 days later, it's $60,000 put into his account that took care of medical bills, replaced income, and just huge. So to your point, having both those things, yes, he wasn't coming everything out of pocket for his treatment, but there was still an expense, which made it all the worse because he was getting treatment for pancreatic cancer. He's not going into work.
Nope, not at all.
And not able to. And that just changed their life.
Yes.
In the best way possible.
Imagine adding disability to that package too. It just goes hand in hand. And disability insurance was the first thing I signed up for when I talked to my financial advisor. I was like, dude, if I can't work, what am I going to do? You know? So what we offer is amazing. And I love one thing I love that Gil did, I've had the pleasure to meet him a few times, is he followed up.
Yeah.
Because it's most people will be like, hey, I told them that's good enough for my conscience. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he followed up to make sure they got the money, that's powerful.
Yeah. No, I agree. Huge flowers to him. Well deserved.
Yeah. No, my life seriously changed with the insurance industry. It really did. But it wasn't, now, not to toot my own horn, but it's not the industry. It's what you make out of it.
Yeah.
I believe so much. And I think that's when you truly believe, it's impossible to fail. Because I didn't have, I might have had $3,000 in my bank account, which might be more than most people start with. But I know people with way less that still succeeded. It's like, and I know there's actually an agent here in Pinnacle. I'm not going to mention names, but she came from the same captive agency I did. So I learned a lot from her years ago. But she was in a way worse situation when she first started, and she's a single mom. And I'm like, if a single mom dropped her waitress job to chase this opportunity, and she sucked for her first year, like sucked, terrible, and became one of the best in that past agent, and she's actually one of the best in Pinnacle too. I'm sure if you know the name.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. It's just inspiring. It was way harder of a situation, but she believed because her best friend did it. And they started at the same time. So when you just believe, it just works. I think most people fall in love with the dream that's sold on social media. And when they come into the office or try to work, they get overwhelmed. They're like, oh, I just fell in love with the dream, not the actual work that comes with the dream.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. Dude, one thing I want to touch on before we wrap up is leads.
Yes.
Because this is what I think both blew my mind and also kind of intimidated me, coming from a decade of door-to-door sales where I didn't frankly know what a lead was. Other than a referral. If I sell Bob and he's like, oh, my neighbor Jeff would like that too. And I think people have misconceptions on two ways. One, they're like, spending money on leads, that seems intimidating. I've never done that before. I've never been a business owner. Two, their expectation is too high. They think like, oh, a lead is a sale. And so they think, oh, I called Bob and he's like, oh, not right now. Or, I'm just kind of looking. You're like, oh man, I thought this guy was just going to buy when I called him. And you see some people absolutely destroy and do well. And some people really struggle. Dude, explain what leads look like, how important they are to your business, and what the right mindset should be.
A leads is the lifeblood of a business. If you have no one to sell to, you can't make money.
Yeah.
You could have the crappiest or the best products. If you don't have leads, you can't build a business. Alex Hormozy, I'm a big fan of him. He said something, and he was like, if you understand how to generate leads, you have unlimited shots at business. You can fail every business, but if you know how to get leads, you always have a chance to be successful. It's the same. It's very apparent in the insurance industry. You could be having the worst close rate, the worst closer, the worst product knowledge. But if you have leads to call and have at-bats every single day, eventually you're going to be good. But if you don't have leads and you're scared to invest in leads, you're just going to stay at the skill set you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. How deep did you want me to go into the leads? But that's like a general form. You need it.
Yeah.
So if you're scared to buy it, then you're scared to succeed. I feel like that goes hand in hand.
Yeah. If someone wants to work with you, Kyle, how can they reach out to you? Instagram,
Kyle D. Santos, or my phone number. I'll put it here, 954-296-4803. It's everywhere on social media anyway. So,
dude, you've dropped a whole lot of sauce today. I think the last thing that I'll ask you, and not to be repetitive, but I think you give such good advice, because not only are you a successful agent, but now you have many agents finding success. If someone is watching this and they're questioning, like maybe in one of those situations, like you talked about some agents, like they have a good job and they're making good money, and they feel like they want to be doing more. They feel like they could, but they're scared to leave what they have, and they're kind of in that discovery phase, right now. What's some advice you would give to that person who's maybe considering insurance as a career?
Oh man, I'm just going to be very straightforward with how I handle that, because people ask me that all the time. if they're like, why should I leave? I'm like, well, if you're happy, just stay where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I say, because the one thing I really believed in is insurance is not the end all be all. You could make a lot of money in this world selling a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to simplicity and having a copy paste system, this is the industry to be in. If you can, if you really think you're that good in life in general, then come take a bet on yourself and let's see how good you do. It's not as hard as people think, especially if they're young.
Mm-hmm.
Take the risk. I learned this from Greg LaVecchia. I forgot his last name, the CEO of Bloom Energy Drinks. Mm-hmm. He's 31. I was like, this guy's in my age bracket. And he built $1 billion brand from nothing. And he said that your 20s is where you take the risk, because if you fail, so what? You start over.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're 50s, it's a little bit different to bounce back. Not saying you shouldn't take risk as a 50-year-old, but if you're young and you're in your 20s, take the risk. And they say, oh, I have a child or I have a wife. That should be more of a reason to succeed, right? And I know, coming from an immigrant family, it's not that simple. I know there's a lot of things attached to it, but at the end of the day, if you don't take the risk, who will? Jesus, one of my agents here, we just visited his mom. She lives here in Chicago. Very, lower income family. She was the sweetest lady. Cooked us authentic Mexican food in a trailer home, and her dad, his dad was there too, and he was talking to Jesus because Jesus is taking all these risks. He left a multiple six-figure job as a Crunch personal training manager to join us here, and he took a massive income cut. And you know what his dad said to him? Son, I'm proud of you because somebody in the family had to take risk, and you're the one that stepped up.
Wow.
Are you going to be that person in your family for once? And I'm truly proud to say I am the first person in my family to get out of that 9-to-5. My dad wanted me to be an engineer like him, So that, when I heard his dad say that about him, I'm like, I want to be that person in that family. And I'm so proud of him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's emotional stuff, man.
That's very cool. But it makes me think of a quote I've heard many times, I'm sure you have as well, that the pain of failure is way less pain than the pain of regret.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you're in a position to take that risk, you should.
Eventually, someone in your family will say thank you. So,
yeah. Dude, Kyle, this has been great, dude. Thank you so much for being a guest. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you're looking to get in, reach out to Kyle. God bless everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.